all-time high over the last 40 years. Just want to get your analysis on what you see happening within the next, couple months, quarter two, quarter three. Do you think we're heading into a bear
Welcome,
market,
Crypto Dabber.
sell-off, or do you think
Thank you for joining the live stream.
Thank you very much for your time. Have a great day.
It is the market question du jour, and it comes as we kick off a rough start for the year for the overall market. The Dow down 1.2%, S&P 500 down more than 2.5%, and the real pain being felt right now in the tech trade, the NASDAQ dropping more than 5% to start the year. So back to Brian's question. Are we headed into a bear market, or will the bull run continue? Guy Adami, good evening to you. What a treat.
Eisen, how are you, Sarah?
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the follows. Appreciate it.
I don't know the definition necessarily. I don't know if it matters, but I'll say this. For a lot of stocks, Brian, as you know, they're already in.
Nice. We got almost 50 people in this live.
Some of them are in crash territory.
Let's get to 100.
If you watch Sarah and Will,
100 people in the live.
She does an amazing job in interviewing these Fed officials and stuff. No, it's true. And the most important thing that's going on right now, in my opinion, is this 180 that the Fed has done. So if you don't fight the Fed on the way up, you don't fight them on the way down. I'll say this. We've learned about the resilience of
there we go. 100 people in the live streams. Thank you for the likes.
45.30, which is about
crash coming. Why do you think a crash is coming?
Take another look. I think Steve Grasso would concur.
Thank you for the likes, guys, and thank you for the follows.
Well, I never want to leave Guy hanging. So, yes, I concur on his level to the downside. But I also, being in the markets for as long as we both have been, the market always sets up.
Thank you for the likes. Appreciate it.
People at any given time. And what does that mean, Sarah?
The future is not bright.
So
why do you think that?
3, 4,
Uncle Paulie?
You're not going to get them. So I'm going to go with, as I said on the other show.
I don't know. The S&P 500 looks good.
Inflation is transitory.
Future looks bright for the 500 largest American companies.
I still think we're in that transitory category. And if inflation starts to die down, then Chairman Powell is not going to be hard-pressed to do anything. He's not going to raise rates. He's not going to clear the balance sheet.
And that would be good for the
crash coming. Oh, no.
It would be good for the
Why do you think a crash is coming? Do you think we're going to go up in the crypto market? Okay. I do. I think so. I think there's a recovery coming for the crypto. It's just people selling borrowed money because it's getting more expensive to borrow.
Mike,
yeah.
How does this fit into your view of
well, do you need labor if we have automation?
Yeah, I mean,
right?
I agree with Steve.
If robots are going to do most of the work, do we really need labor?
Concerned about is the part of the market that is already in a bear market. So some of the names he just mentioned and that we were actually just talking about in the prior half hour, I'm talking about the constituent stocks of things like the ARK ETF. These are the high-flying, high-value, sometimes pandemic.
It's the future, man.
Is the Pelotons.
Robots are going to do the work.
And, things like that. Those are the ones you definitely want to avoid.
Everyone needs to become an investor because robots drive truck. Yeah, in the future. That's the future, right? Robots driving trucks.
Of where rates are, not just trying to guess where you think they're going to be.
What do you think of Shiba Inu? It's a good joke.
So from that perspective, I think
I own a little bit of Shiba, but I own a lot more Ethereum. What cryptos would I buy right now? Okay, these are good questions. Let me pause it. Ugh. Okay, so the cryptos I would buy right now are Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Matic, maybe Polkadot and Chainlink, but just keep it simple. Bitcoin and Ethereum is easy money.
The highs, right? You've got names like
think about today, Captain Kurt.
Skyworks Solutions, Netflix, 25% off the highs ahead of earnings.
By the way, I love Netflix. I'm buying Netflix the stock.
Are there good opportunities, even if you expect a choppy market, because of the damage we've already seen?
Look, I don't think the story in NVIDIA, Sarah, has changed at all, nor do I think the story in Netflix has fundamentally changed. What has changed, to your point, is the stocks, and that's actually a good...
That's a good comment. What do you guys think? No labor will drive the crash. By the way, I love NVIDIA, the chip maker. Airbnb is a great stock, and so is Boeing. I actually regret selling some of my Boeing under 200. I think Boeing's going to recover, and Boeing has no competition. Ethereum price is down, I know, but this is a good time to buy Ethereum. I think Ethereum's cheap if it's under 3,000, but even like 3,100, 3,200. But yeah, if you can get under 3,000. You don't need to own that many cryptos. My portfolio is 70% Bitcoin and Ethereum and like 30% altcoins. So, no, this is not the Sunday. This is the Friday edition.
Been looking for opportunities, and you're going to get it in the form of Netflix. I think probably around
Yeah.
this 470 or so level, which it found a bottom at numerous times.
Those are all really small companies, though. SoFi, CleanSpark.
Hasn't changed. The only thing that has changed, to Stephen and Mike's point, is the inflation fears and valuations. People are now focused on that, but the Nvidia story is real. I think you probably have another 5%.
Everyone here should if you're investing in crypto.
The problem is it's going to look really.
If you're investing in crypto, you should own Nvidia, man. This is what all crypto runs on, Nvidia chips. One of my favorite stocks. I think it's my third or fourth largest holding is Nvidia.
Scary. You got to try to
Thank you, Daniel, for sharing the live video.
take emotion out of the equation.
Steve, so if you think that inflation is going to come down and the Fed isn't going to go through with all those interest rate increases, what parts of the market do you want to be in the underperforming parts of the market? I know you don't like the ARC or the super high growth, but technology, the mega caps, or do you want to stick with a group like energy, which has really worked this year and worked last year as well?
So energy has done nothing, as you very well know, for 5 years and then just ripped. So you've had dead money just to get back to even for the last 5 years.
Another stock I like is AMD. It went on the ticker. So my two favorite chip makers are NVIDIA and AMD.
Pockets of energy, and Guy has pounded the table on Schlumberger. So kudos to Guy on that. But when you look at it, let's just pull out the NVIDIA story, or let's just pull out the semiconductor story. So if I don't think that inflation is going to be as bad going forward, what is that?
Oh my God, double-digit inflation on the way. Well, good thing I own real estate. I'm about 70% real estate, 20% stocks, and 10% crypto. So bring on the inflation.
I mean the chips. Chips are going to have a supply-demand issue. That's the way they trade. Right now, you can't get any supply. If that alleviates, you're going to have a glut of chips hit the market. Not only that.
Yeah, see, it's a pyramid scheme. If you're old, you could have bought real estate when it was cheap. And I got lucky. I bought most of my real estate in 2010 to 2012, but it's because I'm old. So yeah, that's the pyramid scheme we set up. Old people have all the assets.
But just think about this, Sarah. What do companies do to combat the supply chain shortage? They overorder, so they front load. So I think we're going to be looking at the best of times for chips right now, and then you're going to see a lot of these stocks fall off a cliff.
Wow. Let's get to our next question because we have a lot of good names coming your way. Let's listen.
Hi, my name is Vidal. I'm from Irvine, California. The question is Apple. Do you buy, trim, or hold? I bought it at $52. Now it is 62% on my portfolio. Kramer doesn't sell it. Nigerian doesn't sell it. What do you guys think?
Well, first of all, congrats on the gain with Apple stock at 173. Does Steve Grasso sell it?
No, I still own Apple, and you know.
I haven't sold any of my Apple. Yeah, I hope bread doesn't go to $10 or $5 gallon milk.
You touched on something. The problem is every time you try to trade Apple, you lose. You're never going to buy it, sell it at the top, and never going to pick that bottom. Just think about what this year is.
Yeah, just buy and hold Apple.
AR, VR. I know we've been talking about a car forever, but there's going to be something there whether they work in collaboration with an EV company.
Yeah, but for me, it's the passive income. If I sell my real estate, then I can't sit here on TikTok and tell you guys what I'm doing, but I get a lot of passive income from real estate, and most of my properties are under 50% like leverage. When there's no labor, grocery will skyrocket. Ugh. Well, hopefully we got robots, or maybe they change immigration.
You're not. There's going to be a host of positive catalysts.
Remember, we always have immigration. That's the easiest way to get labor. And if labor prices keep going up, I'm sure they'll do something about immigration.
For Apple, I think the stock is heading towards 200. This fits in the value
Thank you
bucket
for the
slash growth.
thank you for the follow.
People are going to return to this name. I'm staying in it. I would not like to sell it. He's got an incredible game. If he wants to trim.
Do you agree? Because because Tony Sacconaghi, the famous analyst from Bernstein on Apple, was on our show earlier today on Closing Bell talking about whether a lot of the demand has been pulled forward for a company like Apple during the pandemic with the phones, with the compute.
Yeah, I'm talking about immigration because right now, with Trump and even Biden, immigration's gone down. So that's why we have the labor shortage. So if it gets bad where we got $10 bread, I'm pretty sure they're going to make immigration a lot easier. But you never know. I can't predict what our crazy government's going to do.
Obviously, we're all stuck at home. Or do you think there's some fresh catalysts like Rosso's talking about?
I think it's always a mistake to sort of bet against, the next thing that Apple's going to drop on us. I mean, anybody who's tried to make that bet, I think over the course of the last 10 years has paid a painful price. I mean, the real issue that I have for Nadal on this is not Apple so much, but actually the relative concentration of the portfolio that he just described having. I mean, 62% of your portfolio is a lot to have any.
You're right, Uncle, but the pay at home thing is over now. I think the main reason we have the labor shortage is because of immigration. Like, basically, immigration has gone down a lot since 2016. So, because remember, immigrants, most of them, they don't get free stuff. They have to work, right? Especially the high-tech ones. So they're usually paying taxes and not getting free stuff.
And now, if you owned your own business, that might make some sense, but I think some diversification might make sense. If you're targeting the level that's...
By the way, as a landlord, I've never had an immigrant stiff me on rent because they don't want to go to court. They don't want to get deported. But I've had plenty of citizens not want to pay rent and do forbearance and all that stuff. But yeah, immigrants are usually great tenants because they don't mess around. They pay the rent and, they're not going to take you to court and sue you over BS stuff.
Was just talking about, which is about 15% to the upside from current levels. There are other places to put your money where you can have targets about at least as aggressive as that. I mean, there are names like Alphabet, for example, which I think also represent compelling value. Maybe Meta, formerly.
But didn't that end? Didn't the government paying people to stay at home, hasn't that ended? Like, I can understand a year ago, but I think in September they stopped doing that. Or am I missing something?
Facebook would be another place where on a valuation basis, you can spread your chips around a little bit more. Not because I don't like Apple, but I just don't like having all my eggs in one basket.
It is a good chunk. Next up, a question for you guys on Dow component Visa.
What's up, Guy? Guys, give everyone a follow to Guy. I need to get him back on the lives.
Hello, my name is Pete, and I'm calling from New York. Happy New Year. My question is on Visa. Will an improvement in travel, partnerships with fintech companies, and the possibility of higher interest rates make Visa a long-term buy at its current price? If so, where do you see it at the end of 2020?
Thank you for the likes, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
This is a good one, Guy, because the payment stocks have been underperformers.
Look at Visa. I'm just looking at it now. It's a $252 stock all-time high, seemingly just a few months ago, and it's had, to your point, a pretty precipitous drop. We've seen moves of this magnitude before in these names, and the problem with the Visa and a MasterCard is on the way up, nobody cares about valuation, and then when things start going sour, the first thing they look at is valuation. Valuation has been a concern all along. I think the great news about both Visa and MasterCard is you're in this paradigm where they work regardless of what the economic conditions are. They are transaction-based. Transactions continue to go higher. I think the damage has been done to the stock, and if the back end of the question is where do I think it goes in the back half of this year, I think we're going to be talking about Visa a lot closer to $300 than current levels of around $200.
So what should the valuation difference be between a Visa and a PayPal, Guy? Because
the issue is people don't want to work. If you're a citizen and you know how to game the system, like, that's the issue, man. But we'll see. I mean,
that also has underperformed. And and it usually got the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. That's a great question. I think it's interesting.
All I know is if I have kids, as soon as they're 13, 14, I'm going to go make them work at McDonald's for $15 an hour. Put your kids to work. Fix this labor shortage.
Talk about the word legacy has come into play a lot over the last 6 months or so, and obviously people lump Visa and MasterCard into that legacy, and PayPal's getting more of a fintech thing, which was great a few months ago, but now the fintechs have been beaten up. I don't think, personally, I don't think Visa and MasterCard deserves the same multiple as a PayPal, but I think the chasm has closed. I think it will continue to close. I will tell you, since you brought it up, I think the sell-off in PayPal has been over.
Labor shortage due to people croaking from taxes. Government needs to get out of the way. I actually agree with you, man. Government needs to get out of the way. And that's why I invest in crypto. Because if you understand blockchain, the whole purpose of blockchain is to get rid of bureaucrats and to get rid of a government that does backdoor deals. The whole idea with blockchain, it's transparent and it's open. So maybe in 50 years or 40 years, we basically take power away from, but it's not a robot. It's just open source code. Nancy Pelosi doesn't disclose her backroom deals. But if we had a blockchain where the citizens could vote instead of Nancy Pelosi, I think a lot of problems would get solved. But the citizens don't vote. It's Nancy Pelosi and the corporations that own Nancy Pelosi.
Done, and I like that stock into this year.
I had a feeling you were going to say.
I prefer robots over Nancy Pelosi. I don't know about you guys.
Look at that, down 26% in the last year, and really taking a leg lower even under Visa. Let's take a tweet question. This viewer asking, what is the best ETF to buy in these volatile times?
Exactly. People need to wake up and realize that corruption is just inherent when you have people that don't have to disclose their votes. Should I sell PayPal? I would hold it. I'm holding it, but if you're basically hurting for money, maybe sell half.
Mike, we'll give that one to you.
Dude, screw voter ID. It should be on your phone. If you could vote on your phone, it would be a real democracy. You could give them your thumbprints. You could give them your iris. There's way more better ways to take biometric data. And then, if the voting was on a blockchain, you could actually check to make sure your vote got counted. The problem right now with a paper ballot, how do you even know if they counted it? They could throw it in the trash. You have no way of verifying if your vote even counted. But if it was through your phone and it was a verifiable blockchain, you wouldn't have all this BS. And you wouldn't have someone voting 100 times that's dead. You would have to basically verify through video your iris, which is unique to every person, your thumbprints, which the government already has, right? And then you don't have some dead person voting 20 times. Paper voting is a joke. In Estonia is like a small little country. They do all their voting electronically online. How's Estonia ahead of us? It's just because of the corruption. And the reason that because of this, it's big corporations. Because big corporations know that only 10% of people actually vote for the small elections. And the reason only 10% of people voting, it's because it's hard to vote. And so the big corporations, they use their money to control 5% of the 10%. And that's why unions and all these special interests have so much power. But as soon as you make it where like 50, 60% of the population is voting, you don't have Nancy Pelosi's. Nancy Pelosi's are gone. No one wants Nancy Pelosi in office. Democrats and Republicans can agree on that.
Sure. Well, actually, I'm just going to talk about general exposure and say that, to have exposure to the S&P 500 is never a bad idea, in my opinion.
He's right. VOO is the best index or ETF to own. VOO, 500 largest American companies. That trend's not going to go away for the next 10 years. America's still going to dominate. Europe is weak and no one wants to invest in China because the Chinese stock market is kind of a scam.
You're thinking long term, and I don't want to play favorites, so there's a couple different ways you could do that. Probably the best known is SPY, but
yeah, SPY is good too.
VOO,
yeah, there you go.
S&P
SPY VOO. That's all you need.
500 tracking ETF, so I think those would be equally good candidates, maybe better because their fees are slightly lower.
Boring. Steve Grasso, any good ETF ideas?
All right, guys, this live stream's kind of getting dead, so I'm going to go ahead and end it. I'm going to come back on. I'm going to text or call some content creators I know so I can do a double live. So just check for my live stream. I'll be back on in like 5 minutes. Thank you for watching. And yeah, I agree with you, Mike. 100%. So I'll be back on in like 5 minutes, guys. Thank you.